Okay, let's unpack this. We are tackling, well, really the absolute core structure of the English language, the present simple.
It really is foundational, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, for many learners, I think grammar lessons can feel like this intimidating slog through tables and rules.
Oh, definitely. Conjugation charts.
Yeah. But our source material today, it's actually a stack of highly structured grammar exercises, but they're all focused on routine, daily life stuff.
And that gives us an incredible shortcut, you see.
Exactly. The mission today isn't just, learning the rules by heart. It's about finding a way to maybe bypass that whole memorization stage altogether.
Kind of embedding it directly.
Yeah, fit this structure directly into your daily life so the knowledge becomes, well, automatic,
Mm.
a habit.
Mm-hmm. And this is truly foundational English. If you can get the hang of the present simple, you pretty much have the backbone for defining, well, not just what you're doing right now, but what defines your world.
Defines your world. I like that.
What's fascinating here is that the simple present, it's used for defining permanent states,
Mm.
universal truths, things that don't really change.
Like the sun rises.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And crucially for you listening, it's for habitual actions and routines.
Which is where the exercises come in.
Right. The source exercises are brilliant because they force you to apply these rules, but only through the lens of common daily activities.
Mm-hmm.
Things like eating, studying, watching TV, school schedules.
Stuff you actually do.
Stuff you actually do.
Mm.
And this immediate real-world relevance, it provides the perfect cognitive framework. It helps lock the knowledge into your memory much faster.
Right. It connects the abstract rule to the concrete action.
Precisely.
Okay. So we're synthesizing rules and examples from various guides here, focusing just on the structure of the simple present.
The three main forms.
Affirmative, negative, and questions.
Yep. And we're going to drill down into, well, the surprising bits of nuance in the structure that often trip people up.
That infamous, we'll get to the as. So by the end of this deep dive, the aha goal is pretty simple, actually. You'll be able to narrate your entire day or, anyone else's day using perfect present simple structure.
Without hesitation?
Without hesitation. Cementing the grammar as a natural subconscious habit. That's the plan.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's do it.
Okay, let's start by stating what is true, what is routine, what is permanent. The affirmative sentences.
The positive statement.
Exactly. This is the simplest structure, really, and it's kind of the linguistic bedrock for defining our habits.
Yeah. And for most subjects, so we're talking first person singular I, second person you, singular and plural, and the plurals we and they, the rule is, well, it's delightfully simple.
Okay.
You just use the base form of the verb, the simple form. That's it.
No changes, no endings.
Nothing. No frills.
It's almost a moment of relief, isn't it, compared to other languages sometimes?
It really is. All that complexity just melts away for this group.
So the structure is literally just subject, then verb, boom.
Subject, verb, done.
Ah.
And this immediately connects the grammar to describing routines. If you can say, I wake up, we eat lunch, or they play football.
You've nailed it.
You basically nailed the basic structure right there.
Okay. And the examples in the source material, they really show this, anchoring the grammar in, like you said, specific, tangible scenarios from daily life.
Exactly. Like, I go shopping with my brother, or you live near me,
Simple. Go. Live. No change.
or we play tennis in school on Wednesday afternoon. Notice how the verb, it just stays the same. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, the verb is simple, plain, unadorned.
Okay. And this also extends beyond just simple actions, right? To general facts about life. Because when we look at the source examples, we see this pattern holding even when you have compound subjects. That can sometimes confuse people.
Oh yeah, like my brother and I.
Exactly. My brother and I have breakfast at 7:30. A learner might, mistakenly think they need an S there because brother is singular.
Right, but the key is the whole subject.
The whole subject. My brother and I is.
It's we.
It's we. So you use the simple form have, not has.
That's a really critical point. Always test the subject. Mentally replace it with a simple pronoun. I, you, he, she, it, we, they.
Good tip.
If it boils down to we, or I, you, they, you just use the simple verb. No S. This clarity lets you quickly map it in your head. My action, or our action, just equals the verb.
Simple. Now, since we're talking habits, the sources, naturally, they include adverbs of frequency. Words like sometimes, usually, always, never.
Yeah, describing how often the routine happens.
And their placement seems pretty important in this affirmative structure.
It is. It's quite specific in the present simple. These adverbs, they usually go before the main verb.
Before the main verb. Okay.
Look at this source example. We sometimes use a dictionary in class. See? The adverb sometimes sits right there between the subject we and the simple verb use.
Right. Not we use sometimes.
No, definitely not.
This is subtle, but it's important, isn't it? You don't say, I go usually shopping, you'd say.
I usually go shopping.
Right. So if you're narrating your habits, you need to know exactly where that frequency word fits. It sort of sets the baseline frequency for this group of subjects.
Adverb of frequency goes right before the main verb.
Got it.
It truly sets the baseline. If you can describe your routine, I usually study English. We never watch TV on Mondays. You've already mastered the affirmative structure for, well, more than half of the possible subjects.
And you know where to slot in those adverbs that define the routines.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, shall we move to where the real complexity, maybe, the main stumbling block?
I think we have to. It's time for the third person singular. This is it. The moment of truth for the present simple. The third person singular.
Dun, 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 dun.
Pretty much. If you talk about him, her, or it, the rules shift. And this tiny change, just adding it's responsible for, I don't know, countless mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. Loads.
Yet it's the single most important marker in English to signal you're talking about a singular, separate subject. Not you, not me, but someone or something else.
Precisely. This is the crucial addition. It signals we're talking about a single, separate entity. For he, she, or it, the verb must take an S, or sometimes S.
We talked about thinking of the S as a small required badge.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's a badge that has to be attached to the verb every single time you reference a single person or a non-plural entity other than yourself or the listener.
Right. And the sources show how he, she, or it can mean, a literal person. He likes rap music.
Or a family member. My mother teaches art.
Or even an institution. School finishes at 3, or an abstract fact.
The earth goes around the sun.
Exactly. But we need to go deeper than just saying add an S. Because the spelling rules, they trip up so many learners, especially in written grammar practice.
Okay, yeah, let's break down the spelling because it's not always just sticking an S on the end.
No.
Let's start with the standard S addition. This applies to most verbs. Simple cases.
Okay.
The sources give clear examples like he likes rap music. The verb just adds an S. Simple.
Or my sister cooks all our meals. Cook just adds an S.
That's the easy version. Most verbs fall into this category.
But the moment the verb ends in certain letters, the spelling rule shifts. And it's usually to prevent, awkward pronunciations.
That's exactly right. If the verb ends in a sound that already sounds kind of like S or Z, or if it ends in very specific consonant combinations, we add E's instead of just S.
Okay, so what endings trigger the E?
This covers verbs ending in S, SS, SH, CHX, or O.
S, SS, SH, CHX, O.
Got it. This is where we need to drill down a bit. Can you give us some key examples,
Okay.
especially using common words students might use describing their daily routines?
Absolutely. Think about daily actions related to school or housework because the source material really emphasizes these.
Okay.
So if your verb is watch, like watching TV, it becomes she watches TV in the evening, WATCHES.
Watches. Right. Ends in CH. Add ES.
If the verb is wash, he washes the dishes. Ends in SH, add ES.
Washes. Okay.
If it's teach. My mother teaches art. Ends in CH, add ES.
And the verb do, which is super frequent, right?
Yeah.
That becomes she does her homework before dinner, DOES.
Does not do's.
And go becomes the earth goes around the sun, GOES.
Goes, not goes.
In all these cases, because of those specific endings, we add E's.
Okay, I see the pattern. And do and go are such high-frequency verbs, you really need to drill that ease ending immediately.
You do.
If a student is narrating their family's life, they absolutely need to know, my father goes to work, not my father go to work. It sounds fundamentally wrong otherwise.
It does. It marks it immediately as incorrect. But wait, we aren't quite finished with spelling yet.
Oh, there's more.
There's the Y rule. This is another very frequent source of error because it depends on the letter that comes before the final Y.
Okay. Let me see if I can simplify this. There are basically 2 Y scenarios, right?
Exactly. 2 scenarios.
Plus first one.
The first one's simple. If the verb ends in a vowel sound followed by Y, think of verbs like play or stay or enjoy.
AY, OY, EY.
Okay. Then we just follow the standard rule. Simply add S. So, he plays football. PLAYS. Simple.
Okay, vowel plus Y, just add S. Easy enough. What's the second scenario?
But if the verb ends in a consonant followed by Y, like study, try, cry, fly,
TY, RY, okay.
then the Y must be changed to an I before adding E's.
So study.
becomes my cousin studies biology. S-T-U-D-I-E-S. You can't just add an S to study.
You drop the Y, add IES.
Drop the Y, add I-E-S.
Yeah.
That's the rule. It's crucial for anyone describing student life or even basic actions like he tries hard, T-R-I-E-S.
Okay, that is a critical distinction. Consonant plus Y means change Y to IES. And it makes sense when you see the sources focusing on verbs like study, try, fly.
Exactly. If you're learning, you just need to know this spelling change is a requirement for grammatical correctness in the third person singular. It's not optional.
Right. Now, let's tackle the biggest high-frequency irregularity in this whole structure. The sources definitely rely on this one, the verb have.
Yes, the big exception.
If we followed the standards rule, have should theoretically become haves, right? H-A-V-E.
Logically, yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. English loves its exceptions.
It does.
Have is irregular only in the third person singular present simple. The form becomes
It's not.
has, H-A-S.
Has. That's a massive exception that needs immediate locking into memory.
Absolutely critical.
I have breakfast, but she has breakfast. We have a dictionary, but he has a new phone.
Or school has a large library.
This single irregularity, the have to has shift. It's almost as important as the entire S rule itself, just because we use the verb have constantly, describing possessions, meals, experiences.
It's completely non-negotiable for mastery. You just have to memorize. He has, she has, it has.
Okay, let's quickly loop back to adverbs of frequency here. Does their placement change with the third person?
Nope. Good news there. Their placement stays exactly the same as it was with IUE subjects.
So before the main verb.
Before the main verb, even if that verb now carries the S or S.
Okay, give me an example.
So if we look at a sentence describing a third-person habit, she often watches TV. The adverb often comes right before watches.
Right. Or, my sister always cooks our meals. Always comes before cooks.
The rules for adding the "es" or "es" are applied regardless of the adverb's presence. The adverb just slots neatly into the sentence before the verb.
Got it. Okay. Finally, let's just revisit the purpose of the third person again. It's not just people's routines.
No, it shows the present simple's duality. It's routines and permanent facts.
Like the examples we mentioned. The sun rises in the east. The sun is singular, it, so the verb is rises.
The earth goes around the sun. Earth is singular, it's, so the verb is goes.
So the third person isn't just about people, it's about defining these permanent laws and truths of the universe.
Exactly. And if you can internalize this as rule by observing your singular family members, my dad watches the news, and observing physical laws, water boils at 100 degrees, then that as badge, as you called it, will become truly automatic.
Okay, so that's the affirmative, including the all-important third person is. What about saying no?
Right. Negatives. To express what doesn't happen routinely, to describe the gaps in your daily life, or things that just aren't true, we need to bring in a helper verb.
A helper verb.
An auxiliary verb, specifically the verb do. The source material really emphasizes that negative forms are made using this auxiliary verb do combined with not.
Okay, so this is where the sentence structure fundamentally changes, isn't it? We're moving from that simple two-word structure, subject plus verb, in the affirmative, to something longer, a three or really four-word structure.
That's right. The basic negative structure becomes subject plus auxiliary verb, do or does, plus not plus the main verb.
Subject plus dodos plus not, place main verb.
Okay, and the key, of course, is applying that third-person rule we just spent all that time drilling.
Oh, okay. But how?
It now gets applied to the auxiliary verb do itself.
I see. So if the subject is he, she, or it.
We use does plus not, which usually contracts do doesn't.
Doesn't. D-O-E-S-N apostrophe T.
Exactly. And if the subject is I, you, we, or they.
We use do plus not.
Which contracts to don't. D-O-N apostrophe T.
Don't. Okay. So the third person, S or E's in this case, moves from the main verb onto the auxiliary do.
Precisely. But here's the crucial insight. The bit that often creates confusion for learners coming straight from the affirmative.
Okay.
Once we use doesn't, what happens to the main verb? Does it still need the S?
Oh, good question. Does it?
No. And this is the great mental relief, I think.
Okay.
When you use the third-person auxiliary verb doesn't, the main verb immediately snaps back to its simple base form. It loses the S ending.
It loses the S. Why?
Because the auxiliary verb has already done the heavy lifting. It's already carrying that S ending from do. The rule is basically that the S marker for the third person can only appear once in that verb phrase.
Only once. So you can't have he doesn't watches.
No way.
Yeah.
It must be he doesn't watch. The S is on does.
Okay. So the key takeaway here is Once doesn't does the work, the main verb just relaxes back to its original base form.
Exactly. And that simplifies the negative quite a bit, actually.
It does. So we can immediately turn those affirmative examples from the source exercises into negatives using the structure.
Let's try it. Let's see how the shift happens. If we start with, say, I study French.
Okay, subject is I, so we use,
Don't.
right, I don't study French. Simple.
Simple. Now for a singular subject. School finishes at 2 o'clock. Subject is school, which is it.
It, so we need, doesn't.
Right. So it becomes school doesn't finish at 2 o'clock.
And finish goes back to the base form, no A's.
Exactly. The verb finish drops the as because doesn't is carrying the grammatical weight now.
That makes so much sense when you explain it like that. Okay, focusing on personal habits. She speaks Chinese.
Subject she needs doesn't.
So she doesn't speak Chinese. And speak is the base form.
Perfect. And this structure is what allows you to clearly draw boundaries around habits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just as important to say what you don't do is what you do.
Absolutely. Defining yourself by omission sometimes.
And the source material gives loads of fantastic, tangible examples of actions people do not do habitually.
Like?
We see things like Anna doesn't watch TV, or my grandfather doesn't live in London.
Okay, clear examples of non-routines. What about that irregular verb have? How does that work in the negative?
Ah, good point. Well, the auxiliary fixes it. If the affirmative is he has a dog,
Okay, using the irregular has,
the negative becomes he doesn't have a dog.
it goes back to have.
Yes, the has reverts back to the base form have because the auxiliary is present and doing the work.
Wow, so the auxiliary dodos really regularizes things in the negative.
It really does. It carries the tense, the person, and the negation.
That's why mastering the auxiliary is just so fundamental, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
a grammatical switchboard for both negatives and, I guess, questions, too.
Exactly. Which leads us nicely on. But before we move on, let's just quickly touch on adverbs of frequency one last time in the negative. Where do they go?
Good question. With don't and doesn't in there.
Well, they usually slot in between the subject and the auxiliary verb if the adverb itself implies negation, like never. I never go shopping. Notice, in this case, never makes the whole sentence negative, so we don't actually need don't.
Oh, okay. So never replaces don't?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Or if you use other adverbs like usually or often in the negative, they typically come after the auxiliary don't or doesn't. So
Okay,
like he doesn't usually finish his homework, or we don't often eat out. The auxiliary comes first, then the adverb, then the base verb.
okay. Auxiliary, adverb, base verb.
Got it. So the power of the negative is really clear now. It lets you articulate what is not routine or what is not a fact.
And by applying that don't doesn't rule correctly, you basically gain control over half of your potential conversation possibilities. You can affirm and you can deny.
Affirm and deny. What's last?
Asking.
Asking, right. So this raises an important question. How do we ask questions? How do we move from just stating facts and omissions to actually having a conversation, interacting?
And the simple present is really the engine of conversational inquiry. When you're asking about someone's routine, their habits, or just a general fact.
The engine of inquiry. I like that.
And the good news is, since we've pretty much mastered the auxiliary do and does in the negative section,
Right.
the question structure becomes quite intuitive. It uses the same helpers.
Okay. So that auxiliary verb, it's doing even more work now.
It is. It acts like the ignition key, basically. It moves the sentence from being a statement to being a question simply by moving its position.
Moving its position. Where does it move?
Right to the very front of the sentence.
Okay, so let's break that down. First type, yes-no questions. The ones you can just answer with yes or no.
Exactly. For these questions, the auxiliary verb do or does it just shifts right to the beginning before the subject.
Before the subject. Okay, so the structure is
Auxiliary, do or does, plus subject, plus simple form of the verb.
auxiliary, subject, simple verb. And the main verb stays simple, no S. Stay simple, just like in the negative. Because do or does is carrying the grammatical information.
Okay. And the third person application, still using does.
Still using does, absolutely. It's a direct echo of the negative structure logic. Does is reserved for he, she, and it. And again, the main verb stays in its simple base form.
Okay, can you give an example?
Sure. Affirmative. She walks to school. Question. Does she walk to school?
Does she walk? Okay, simple verb walk. Makes sense.
Now, something that's absolutely essential based on the source exercises we looked at is practicing the short answers.
Yes, no answers. Why is that so important?
It's not just about being polite, although it is. It actually reinforces the rule. The auxiliary verb you used in the question must be the one you use in the short answer.
Ah, you're creating a grammatical circuit, you said.
Exactly. You're closing the loop. It forces you to link the answer back to the question structure.
Okay, let's run that circuit. Use some source examples. Do you live at school? Subject is you. Auxiliaries do.
Right, if the answer is negative, it must be.
No, I don't. Using do.
Perfect. Okay, what about plural subjects? Do students eat in the canteen? Students is they. Auxiliary is do.
Okay. If yes. Yes, they do.
Exactly. You repeat the auxiliary.
And the same discipline structure applies to the singular subject, right? Does school finish at 3 o'clock? School is it. Auxiliary is does.
Right. So the negative short answer is?
No, it doesn't. Repeating does.
Perfect. If you neglect that short answer practice, you really miss a critical step in locking the grammar into place, because it forces you every time to correctly identify and reuse the auxiliary verb that's responsible for carrying the tense and the person information.
Okay, short answers are key practice.
Got it.
What about adverbs of frequency in questions? Where do they fit?
They usually slot in between the subject and the main verb, pretty much like they do in the affirmative, just with the auxiliary out front now.
Okay. So, do you always watch TV after dinner?
Exactly. Always comes between you and watch. Or, does your brother often surf the internet?
Often between brother and surf.
Okay. The moment the question starts with do or does, the listener knows two things immediately.
Okay.
First, they probably only need to give a yes or no answer. And second, they know you're asking about a routine, a habit, or a general fact, not about an action happening right this second.
Ah. So the auxiliary signals the type of time we're talking about. Routine time.
Exactly. That clarity of function is the real power of the present simple question form.
Okay, but sometimes, a simple yes or no just isn't enough. We need details. We need the what, the when, the where, the how.
Right. The WH questions. This is where that auxiliary engine really turns into a detailed inquiry system. You're asking for specific information now.
So how does the structure change for these?
It's actually just a really simple extension of the yes-no structure we just covered.
Oh, okay. How?
You just take the WH question word, what, when, where, how, why, who, and you place it right at the very, very beginning, before the auxiliary.
Before the do or does.
Exactly. The rest of the structure stays identical. So it's WH word plus auxiliary do or does plus subject plus simple verb.
WH word, auxiliary subject, simple verb. Okay.
I like thinking of the WH word as like a magnifying glass you put over the question.
That's a great way to put it.
It just points the whole grammatical structure towards finding specific information.
Precisely. And the source material, again, it gives us loads of direct conversation starters that are perfect for asking about routines and facts. They allow you to immediately gather information about someone's life using this structure.
Okay, let's hear some.
For instance, if you want to ask about activities after school and you're talking about a she, you'd use does, right?
Right.
So, what does she do after school? Notice the structure. What WH does O, she, subject, do, simple verb.
What does she do? Okay. And the main verb is do there in its simple form.
Yep. Now, if we're asking about plural subjects, they.
Then we use do.
Right. What do they do in the evening? Same structure, just swap does for do. Okay. What about practical questions? Things you might use every day.
Sure. Like, how do you spell that in English? How, WH, do O, you, spell, simple verb.
How do you spell? Okay. Or a question about someone else's tech habits.
When does your brother surf the internet? When WH does O for brother, your brother subjects, simple verb.
When does your brother surf? The beauty here really is the consistency, isn't it? Once you know where that auxiliary do or does goes, and that the main verb stays simple, the structure just holds true for every type of question, yes, no, or WH.
It really does. By mastering these three forms, affirmative, negative, and questions, and crucially, really getting the hang of the role of the auxiliary dodos as the thing that carries the person and tense marker.
Right.
You basically have the complete linguistic toolkit. You can describe, you can deny, and you can interrogate any routine or permanent fact in the world.
You've built the entire operational framework for conversation about daily life.
Pretty much. Which brings us to the most important part. How do you make sure you don't forget all this tomorrow?
Exactly. How do we make it stick? How do we fit this knowledge into the daily routine itself? This is the action plan for you, the listener.
And we really have to reiterate this. The examples in the source material, they are almost exclusively about routines. Eating, studying, watching TV, going to bed, walking to school.
It's not a coincidence.
Not at all. It's deliberate design.
Hmm.
Because the cognitive science behind how we learn languages tells us something really clearly.
What's that?
Knowledge that you can link to existing, solid, immutable habits, things you do every day, without thinking that knowledge is retained much, much faster and more reliably than abstract rules you just read on a page.
Okay. So if the grammar exercises themselves are all about daily life,
Then the absolute most effective strategy for retaining this grammar is to treat your actual daily life as a kind of continuous, ongoing grammar feedback loop.
use your life as the textbook.
Pretty much. The source material gave you the vocabulary of routine. Now you need to actively integrate the structure of the present simple into the habits you already possess.
Right. This isn't about sitting down for a one-time study session.
No, this is about active, ongoing mental rehearsal throughout your day.
Okay. So let's dedicate some real time to this. The deep dive strategy for retention. What are the practical steps? You mentioned 3 active practices.
Yes, 3 easy, active practices you can start implementing like right now, today, all based directly on the structures we just drilled.
Okay, practice number 1.
First, active affirmative practice and mental narration. The moment you wake up tomorrow morning, start internally narrating your own day using the present simple.
Internally. So just thinking it, not saying it out loud.
Just thinking it in English is fine to start. This is crucial for just establishing that basic I plus verb structure in your mind linked to your actions. I get up at 7, pause. I have coffee at 7:30, pause. I start work at 8.
You're training your brain to equate the present simple form with your actual routine actions.
Exactly. Then, almost immediately, extend that to the third person singular. This forces you to apply that crucial S rule we talked about. Pick one specific person in your life. Your mother, your brother, a colleague, your roommate, anyone. And mentally narrate their day as you imagine it or observe it.
Okay. So maybe think about my colleague.
Right. My colleague starts work at 9. He uses the train. He has lunch at 1 o'clock.
Ah, okay. By doing that, I'm forcing myself into immediate, real-time application of the S rule.
Yes. You're drilling the exception have changing to has. You're practicing those spelling rules we discussed. Studies, watches, goes all based on observable reality, or at least your knowledge of someone else's reality.
And that real-time feedback loop, even if it's just mental, it solidifies the concept way faster than just doing a written fill-in-the-blanks exercise.
It's faster. Okay, ready for the second practice?
Ready. Practice number 2.
Second, negative practice, or active omission tracking. As you go through your day, actively identify things you don't do. Use the auxiliary verbs don't or doesn't to frame these non-actions.
Okay. Why is this important?
It reinforces the difference in auxiliary verb usage between I, you, with, he, and he, she'd. And it forces you to practice switching the main verb back to the base form after doesn't.
Right. That crucial step. So give me an example.
Okay, you walk past a pizza place. Maybe you don't eat pizza often. Mentally state, I don't eat pizza.
I don't eat pizza. Oh.
Or you know your friend usually watches a specific TV show, but you don't. Formulate the negative. I don't watch that show.
Okay. And applying it to the third person?
Remember Anna from the example? Anna doesn't watch TV. Or think about your neighbor. He doesn't play football.
Okay. And the moment I'm forced to mentally correct myself, if I accidentally think he doesn't plays and then fix it to he doesn't play.
That's the magic moment. That correction strengthens the neural connection for the correct structure, especially that rule about the main verb reverting to its simple form after doesn't.
Got it. Okay, practice 3.
Third, the interrogative habit. This is about forming questions. Every time you see a friend, family member, or colleague, or even just think about them internally, formulate a question about their routine using do or does.
Internally, again, I don't actually have to ask them.
You don't have to ask it out loud, no. The goal here is training your brain to automatically place that auxiliary verb, do or does, at the start of the sentence when you're thinking in inquiry mode.
Okay, so I see my manager come in.
Mentally ask, does my manager start work at 9?
Or I think about the students in the example.
Do the students eat in the canteen?
Or my brother on his computer.
Does your brother surf the internet?
I see. You're using the linguistic tools provided right there in the source material, but you're creating this continuous real-time grammar feedback loop based on the observable habits around you.
Exactly. And the reason this whole strategy works, the mental narration, the omission tracking, the internal questioning, is because you are anchoring a temporary piece of grammar information, a rule you just learned, to a permanent piece of existing memory,
Yeah.
your own daily routine or the routines of people you know well.
So the habit of your morning routine literally pulls the correct grammar structure along with it into long-term memory.
Yeah, it's the idea. The grammar becomes part of the routine itself.
So what stands out to you listening to this? By using these sentence fragments, the affirmations, the negations, the questions, which all describe real, tangible actions, often the ones listed right in the exercises, you're training your brain to stop seeing grammar as just rules on a page,
And start seeing it
as the literal structure of your world, the
Yeah.
way you talk about what happens every single day. By linking the present simple directly to your immutable daily routines, the knowledge just becomes automatic.
And don't forget the adverbs of frequency within these practices. When you state a routine, consciously place the adverb correctly. I never forget my keys. Mentally check. He usually arrives late.
Yeah.
Check again. The placement is part of the routine structure you're trying to cement.
Good point. And also, keep that subject grouping clear in your head during practice. When you reference a plural subject like my brother and I, mentally confirm. Okay, that's we, so no ibs needed on the verb.
Right. Or when you reference the school, confirm. Okay, that's it. So I need dis for questions negatives or the as ending for affirmatives. That constant checking reinforces the core rules.
Okay, so we took a real deep dive into the present simple there. We tried to turn those complex rules, the spelling changes, the exceptions like have to, has, into, well, a usable daily framework.
The goal is that you now have the linguistic tools you need to describe any habit, any omission, or any permanent fact.
Affirm, deny, inquire, the works.
Exactly. And if we just connect this to the bigger picture for a final thought, given that the present simple is so often used to describe those universal facts, we saw examples like the sun rises in the east or the earth goes around the sun.
Right, the unchanging stuff.
Consider doing this tonight. Just observe the world around you, and we challenge you listening. Can you identify and describe 3 things that are always true? Could be a physical law, a natural phenomenon, a characteristic of something.
But use only the third person singular form.
Yes. Force yourself to use that cheese badge, as you called it.
Okay, like
Maybe gravity pulls objects toward the center of the earth. Gravity is it, pulls.
okay, or the moon reflects light from the sun. Moon is it reflects.
Or even something simpler. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Water is it, boils.
This raises a really interesting question then, doesn't it? How many things in your world are these unchangeable facts? And how do you describe them grammatically using that third person singular? Making that kind of daily observation, applying the grammar rule to the constant reality around you, that's what will really make it automatic. It transfers the knowledge from the short-term memory of, this deep dive
Right.
into the long-term memory of just how the world works and how you talk about it in English.
A brilliant final thought. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. Now go out there and start talking about your habits.